Now let's talk about the other war, Russia versus Ukraine. Over the weekend, Ukrainian President Zelensky issued a video message. It was an appeal to Joe Biden and Xi Jinping. Zelensky wants them to attend the Peace Summit next month. It's being hosted by Switzerland. More than 80 countries are attending this summit. Joe Biden and Xi Jinping are yet to confirm their attendance. More importantly, no Russian representative will be there. You could say it defeats the purpose of the summit, and you would have a point. How can there be a peace deal without Russia? Also, from the looks of it, Moscow has a different plan altogether. It seems to be preparing for a new phase of the war. The Russian president is revamping his forces. Putin's plan has two parts. One, a cleanup, and two, an expansion. Let's tell you about the first step. A high-level purge is underway in Russia. In the last 1 month, 5 top defense officials have been arrested in the country. It began with this man, Timur Ivanov, a former deputy defense minister. Ivanov was arrested for taking bribes. He was close to Sergei Shoigu, the former defense minister of Russia. He was sacked just 2 weeks ago. Putin replaced him with Andrei Belousov. The switch triggered a lot of speculation because Belousov is an unlikely pick. He has no military experience, he's an economist, and he's been given charge of the defense ministry in the middle of a war. So obviously questions were asked. But now the move has started to make sense. Apparently there was rampant corruption in the Russian military, and as defense minister, Shoigu protected many corrupt officials. Reports say this bothered the Russian president. In fact, according to one report, Putin's patience had quote-unquote snapped. So he ordered a change of guard to clean up the system. Shoigu was removed as defense minister, Belousov was brought in, and since then there's been a churn in Russia's defense ministry. More high-profile arrests have been made, including the head of the personnel department, the communication department chief, an official from the procurement department, a deputy chief of the military general staff, and a former top commander in Ukraine. All of these men have been rounded up, arrested, and charged with corruption. The Kremlin was asked about these arrests. It tried to play them down.
The fight against corruption is consistent work. It's not a campaign, it's constantly ongoing work. It is an integral part of the activities of our law enforcement agencies. I cannot give any details as I am not authorized to do it. There is no way to speak about a campaign. The fight against corruption continues in all departments, be it federal departments or at the municipal level. This is all I can say.
Russia says this is business as usual, but its actions suggest otherwise. The purge could be part of a preparation, perhaps for a bigger offensive. And that's the second part of Putin's plan. Russia is expanding its fighting force. Take a look at these numbers. Russian forces are adding 30 to 40,000 soldiers every month. Since last year, more than 385,000 soldiers have been added to the army, 385,000 soldiers. Since the war began in Ukraine, the Russian military has grown in size. The forces are now 15% bigger. So when did this expansion begin? In December last year, when Putin signed a decree, it helped add nearly 170,000 personnel. The total strength of the Russian armed forces now stands at 1.32 million soldiers. And where are these soldiers being recruited from? A lot of them come from Russian jails. That's right, a lot of them are criminals. Moscow is promising them amnesty. Also good wages to fight on the front. Here's what the average package for a soldier looks like. The monthly salary is anywhere between $2,100 to $2,700, which is 3 times the average wage in Russia. Plus, there's a joining bonus, a whopping $11,000. If the soldier gets hurt or killed in action, their family receives large payouts or compensation. This is what's drawing many criminals to join the Russian forces. Amnesty plus a large salary. The offer is too hard to pass up. Last year, more than 50,000 troops left Russian prisons and ended up on the front lines with Ukraine. What does all of this mean for Kiev? Zelensky believes that Putin will be keeping this war going. He says Russia wants to undermine the peace summit first and then launch a bigger offensive.
No one in the world is interested in this war except the aggressor itself, and everyone actually understands this. The Peace Summit is a format that will not allow Putin to lie any longer. And without lies, he is absolutely nothing. I thank everyone in the world who helps us organize the summit and shows their leadership to bring true peace closer.
That's why Zelensky wants support from the US and China. Without their help, it would be hard to convince Putin. Russia is under no pressure to end the war. A statement from Vladimir Putin last week confirmed that.
Of course, we realize that the legitimacy of the incumbent head of state has expired. I think that one of the aims of the forthcoming conference in Switzerland is such that the Western community, the sponsors of the Kiev regime, could confirm the legitimacy of the acting head of state, or rather already non-acting.
You heard him. The Russian president says Zelensky is not a legitimate leader of Ukraine, and this poses a challenge for Zelensky. He's trying to rally support for a peace conference that cannot deliver peace, as his adversary ramps up his forces, possibly for a bigger offensive.